Hello, hello. Third time lucky. I am sorry I am late. Thank you for waiting. It's awesome to have you all over on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I'm sure you will be streaming in now. I had to reconnect all my accounts. That's why I'm late today. So sorry about that. So today we're talking about how to increase your energy, and please feel free to ask any questions related to increasing your energy. I'm a holistic fitness trainer, so trained in fitness, yoga, psychology with a biomedical science background. So feel free to nerd out in the comments. I will see all the comments from all the different platforms here. Happy to assist however I can. So there's about 6 different things that we're going to be going through today in this session. If you don't choose to ask questions, it's going to be how you can increase your energy through exercise, foods, hormones, sleep, psychologically, and I'm going to add a few brain hacks in at the end. So let's chat exercise, that thing that we all kind of, put on the back burner, but we know that we should be doing it and wonder how on earth it's going to increase our energy, because how does something that requires so much energy increase your energy? Well, for 2 reasons. One is a more long-term effect, one is a more immediate effect. And that's why when you do some sort of cardio in the morning, it really jumpstarts your system and helps you get through the rest of the day with a bang. And the reason being is oxygenation within your body. So when you do exercise, you increase your VO2 max, and your VO2 max is how much oxygen that you can intake. And the more oxygen you have, the more iron that you can have throughout the body, which circulates all through your body. So it's just amazing to be able to exercise so that you can get more oxygen throughout your body, because that really gives you a lot more energy. The more long-term effect of that, though, is that you increase your muscle mass. Now, your muscle mass has loads of mitochondria within it. Now, mitochondria, as you may remember from high school, is the powerhouse of the cell. I love all of the memes that are like, I know what the powerhouse of the cell is, but I don't know how to do my taxes. Here's some fun facts about the powerhouse of the cell. Now, the powerhouse of the cell is mitochondria, and it generates a lot of energy. That's why they call it the powerhouse. So specifically ATP, adrenotyrone phosphate. You didn't need to know that. But anyways, what it does is generates a whole bunch of energy. So essentially, it's great for weight loss as well. So essentially, if you have more muscle cells, it's going to create more energy. So you need to use that energy somehow. That energy can be converted into a whole bunch of different things. That energy can be used to break down fat cells. That energy could also be converted into glucose and used within the brain. So exercise in 2 different ways really does help increase your energy. I know it's not what you want to hear, because if you're watching this live, you're probably drained already and don't have much energy. So I definitely do recommend exercising, even if it's just for 10 minutes at the start of your day. Like, set your goals like pretty small and then incrementally build, and that's just going to boost your energy throughout the day. Next, let's move on to food. So eating well is something that we all kind of know that we should be doing, but it is very, very difficult to do. So here are a few different foods that are actually amazing to help you increase your energy. So blueberries is one of them. So if you are a smoothie girl, just add some blueberries into your smoothie in the morning, because it has a whole bunch of antioxidants, and these antioxidants have been proven to increase your energy, reduce your stress. So blueberries is definitely one. Another one is fatty fishes. Fatty fishies. So anything that is going to have more omega-3 in it is definitely going to help increase your energy as well. And it's really hard to ingest as well. So we have a few different fats. We've got saturated fats, polyunsaturated fats, and monounsaturated fats. Monounsaturated fats generally have the higher content of omega-3, and omega-3 is going to help increase your brain function. So we definitely call those ones brain foods. So I recommend those in terms of brain foods. I do see quite a few people coming in from TikTok. So if you are here from TikTok, please do feel free to ask me questions about increasing your energy. Otherwise, I'm going through with what I prepared here. But if you have any specific questions or want to share a specific story about your life, and there's any way I can help, I would love to serve and help how I can. So on the fatty fish and omega-3s, and if you've just tuned in from Instagram, so I've got quite a few people on TikTok and Instagram, feel free to ask me questions about increasing energy. We're chatting exercise, we're chatting hormones, we're chatting foods, we're chatting all the things. So with the fatty fish and omega-3s, what it does is it increases your brain function in general. So you've got your three fatty types: saturated fats, monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats. And if you think about the triglycerides and how they break down in the body, you can think of your saturated fats like curly hair, all like this. And then you've got your monounsaturated fats with one kink, and then you've got your polyunsaturated fats with a few kinks. I don't know if you can imagine that, but anyways. So your monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats are going to be so much easier to break apart and so much easier to be used as energy throughout the body. So where possible, if you can be ingesting those omega-3s, that is going to be amazing for increasing your energy overall. Another fun one is chocolate. So chocolate has both the has both the antioxidants, but it also has caffeine. So caffeine is also proven to increase your energy levels. So obviously caffeine is going to increase your energy levels, but when we move down into the hormone section of this, I will share with you maybe some drawbacks of having too much caffeine, but caffeine actually does increase your energy as well. So chocolate specifically higher than 70% is going to be amazing for helping you out here. Now, within reason, so having between 2 to 4 blocks is going to be ideal, but chocolate, like 10 out of 10 would recommend. There's actually about 6 different studies that support this. There's an insane amount of studies that support this as well, but if you are a milk chocolate junkie, this obviously isn't the tip for you. Now with coffee obviously gives you a really quick boost, but we all know about the crash as well. So I do recommend crash-free coffee if you're looking to increase your energy in general. Crash-free coffee would be something that has a little bit less caffeine, but then also has some adaptogens or mushrooms or something in it. Personally, I use the Think blend from Four Sigmatic. That's just what I use. If you want 10% off, use Lori Lee as a discount. I'll just pop it in the chat there. Because you'd want some other benefits as well, because caffeine, I mean, it's overproduced, it's overfarmed. You want to make sure it's fairly trade and organic and it comes from a good source. Just like your meats, if you are eating meats, you definitely want to ensure, if you are increasing your energy, that you want amazing meats that are going to help you build those muscles. So let's move on to lion mane. So mushrooms are amazing. So I'm using Supermush. I also use Four Sigmatic. So you want something with a high percentage of lion's mane in it. So what on earth do all of these mushrooms do? How can it help me? So lion's mane in general, it increases cognitive function and focus. And these are just like fancy ways to say focusing more. If you're the type of person when you log on to work, you just find yourself bogged down in other people's emails, you're distracted and you're not doing any of the deep work, then definitely add some lion's mane into your diet. And we'll chat about supplementation in general. So all of the tips that I've already provided you are more so to do with whole foods. I recommend sorting out whole foods before you sort out your supplementation. So supplementation would be stuff like lion's mane. So if you do feel like you need to supplement, then sure, go for something like lion's mane, or you can chuck it in your coffee, whatever works for you. Other supplementation that's really important in terms of stress and increasing energy levels are your B vitamins, vegetarians and vegans. You do not need to worry about your protein most of the time. What you do need to consider is your B12. So B12 comes from animal meats. So you will need to be supplementing with B12 to ensure that not just stress, a whole bunch of other benefits, but you are going to want to ensure that you supplement with your B12. So this will increase your energy, decrease your stress, just to make your life better in general. So there are two things I haven't spoken about that actually cross the blood-brain barrier. So not when we digest our foods, it generally goes through a very complicated process within our body that I won't get into in too much detail right now. But there are a few foods that actually cross the blood-brain barrier quite quickly. And generally, these foods, if they are ideal for us, can help us with our cognitive performance and increase our energy. The organ of our brain takes up so much energy. I think it only has like 5% mass in the body, but takes up 20% of the energy sources. It's like, give me all the glucose. That's why we're all so addicted to sugar, right? These two ingredients that cross the blood-brain barrier are turmeric and green tea. So the curcumin within turmeric, which is the active ingredient, does increase our energy. It goes straight to the brain and it does incredible things. You do need quite a high percentage, though, as studies say. Green tea has L-theanine, which is an amino acid. It's one of our essential amino acids, which means we can only get it from food. It's something that our body can't produce by itself. And green tea actually has this in it. So personally, I'm not a fan of green tea. It kind of gives me anxiety and I don't know what it does to my tummy, but I'm not the most massive fan of green tea, so it's not for me. But honestly, if you like green tea, try to get more in to increase your energy levels because it is amazing in terms of what it can do for your body. So let's recap for those of you who have just joined. I see us mostly on TikTok today, so it's fabulous to have you all from TikTok, but nice to see that a few people have tuned in from YouTube and Instagram. If you do have any questions, please ask me. I love to help you all. So we've already chatted about how exercise, obviously can increase your energy levels, even though it doesn't feel like it at the time. And we've chatted more about how foods can increase your energy levels as well. Let's move on to hormones. So I'm going to talk about the two most prevalent hormones that will suck your energy levels. So if you are feeling absolutely drained, you feel like you are eating the best you can, you feel like you're exercising the best you can, but you honestly can't be bothered to do anything, then hormones are your problem. The first thing that I see that is the most common is stress management. Stress management is the most underrated thing in terms of exercise and weight loss. Stress management determines what we will do, what we won't do, whether we'll procrastinate and scroll, whether we'll actually focus on our goals. Now, the cortisol melatonin balance is really important here. When your cortisol is high, your melatonin is low. When your melatonin is high, your cortisol is low. They're inversely proportional. So what does this mean? This means when you're not getting enough sleep, by default, you have more stress hormones in your body. When you are extremely stressed, you are not getting all of the recovery from sleep. So stress also can affect your gut hormones as well. So your gut is your second brain. So if you want to look after your brain, then look after your gut. If you want to increase your energy, then look after your gut. And one thing that stress does do is it increases ghrelin within the gut. Now, ghrelin is the hormone that says, I want to eat all of the sugary foods. I want to eat all the foods that are bad for me. No, I'm still hungry. When you actually want to be increasing leptin, which is kind of like the opposite gut hormone that's like, I'm actually full. So if you feel like you're really, really struggling to increase your energy, no matter how much you try, you just can't seem to, whatever your goal is, losing weight or exercising more or whatever the thing that's healthy for you, honestly, stress could be your worst nightmare here. Now, there's a few things that you can do to increase your stress, to decrease your stress. And one of them is decreasing your caffeine. So even though caffeine is one of the things that does increase your energy, and there's so many benefits to caffeine, in fact, the studies that say that people get the most benefit from caffeines, they actually drink 3 to 4 cups per day. But if your stress is out the window, it can also have some negative effects as well. So you need to get really honest with yourself and just decide, hey, I am really stressed. I have a really stressful job. I'm in a toxic relationship. I'm working through some things. Maybe coffee is not the best thing for me right now, and I'm just going to get that stress in balance. Another thing is actually intense exercise. If you're doing a whole bunch of HIIT, you're doing a whole bunch of running, these things can actually spike your cortisol too. Although exercise is amazing for you, and I definitely recommend getting in some sort of exercise, high intensity exercise when you're going through extremely high periods of stress may not be serving you. And that is why the Pilates trend is getting more popular. We're living in this state where we are so highly strung. A last minute meeting on the calendar from our boss, a shitty email from a customer, someone who cuts us in traffic is all triggering that same stress response that we used to receive when a tiger jumped out of us out of the bush. So we're just so stimulated all the time. We go on the app that you're watching me on right now, and it's like dopamine, 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 dopamine. No wonder why we're so stressed. So if you do feel like you need to balance that out, do consider just pulling back for a minute, getting back into that parasympathetic nervous system for a bit, increasing your energy, then slowly integrating some new habits. The other thing in terms of hormones, and I have mostly a female audience, so you will know this, is your period. So if you feel like when you menstruate, that you don't feel like going to the gym, you're not alone. So I don't feel like I can give you advice of what to do on your period versus what not to do on your period because it's so individual. My mother was an elite gymnast and she was still training really hard on her period. Personally, I do more yin yoga, more weightlifting. I don't do too much core. So if you're finding that your energy is super drained, you may be living really far into your masculine. And sometimes you do need to jump into that feminine energy that's like, you know what? I can still be fit and healthy, but I can pull back a little bit. The two phases of your period where you're going to have the most energy and want to be in that masculine and doing as much as you can is the follicular phase and your ovulation phase. So those two phases in general are going to help you are going to have more energy. So your follicular phase is after your period, ovulation phase is smack bang in the middle between like when you're going to get your next period. So if you feel like after you finish your period, you just got all the energy and in the middle you got all the energy, that's completely normal. Definitely do your high cardio, your HIIT, your heavy sessions, and then definitely allow yourself to rest as well. The really messed up thing is that a lot of exercise physiology studies, or just a lot of studies in general, even intermittent fasting, is done with like a male population. It's kind of like the crash testing in the car, how like it's based on like a man who's 5'10". So if you're a woman, luckily I'm 5'9", so it doesn't affect me. But if you're a woman, like it's BS basically. Like the crash test might not help you. It's the same with a lot of studies. Like if you see a piece of data out there, get curious and take a look at it and be like, okay, was this done on a whole bunch of men, or was it done on people? Was I well represented here? I won't get into this in too much detail, but it's typically done on like white people as well. So that's a whole other conversation, but be aware of the population of the studies you're listening to is the bottom line here, and listen to your body in terms of what it needs around your menstrual cycle. Okay, so we've spoken about how hormones can affect our energy. We've spoken about how foods can affect our energy. We've spoken about how exercise can affect our energy. And please do drop any questions in the chat as well. If you have any questions about this, if you have a specific thing that you're going through, I am more than happy to help you. Let's talk about your psychology now. Let's talk about your individual brain. So with clients, there's a few different things that I've noticed that'll affect the types of energy that they have. First thing is whether you're introverted or extroverted. Pretty simple question, right? But some people attach introversion and extroversion to your social skills rather than your energy levels. So if you are introverted, that does not mean that you're bad at talking to people. It just means that your battery is drained after talking to people. It means that once you get home after talking to people all day, you want to read a book, you want to chill out and watch Netflix. It doesn't mean that you're shit at talking to people. If you're an extroverted, if you've spent a whole day at home, you're drained. You want to hang out with people. So that's the difference. It's simply how you gain energy. So if you're working towards a certain goal right now, then consider your energy levels. Consider exactly how you want to increase your energy. So, for example, if you're an extrovert, and let's just say your goal is going to the gym more often, you need to be around people to increase your energy. So if you're deciding to go to the gym by yourself, maybe you fill up your bucket by ensuring that you're hanging around with good people before the gym. Maybe you get a gym buddy to go to the gym with. And if you are going to the gym, you will need to ensure it is an amazing vibe. If you go there and people are rude, you are not going to be happy. If you're an introvert, then it will be the opposite experience. Make sure if going to the gym is super hard, make sure that you have plenty of time to recalibrate, plenty of time to be by yourself. Maybe you don't want to go to a gym where people are talking to you all the time. Maybe like a CrossFit for you is just like you really have to work yourself up to go because you know there's going to be high fives and whatever else they do at CrossFit. So those are a few different ways you can consider your energy levels for your goals. Another thing is that you will need to figure out what makes you feel like yourself. So one thing that I like to always think of is how do you best learn? There are lots of different learning styles. There's kinesthetic, there's how you read, there's reading, there's auditory, there's some people, they just feel a certain way from sense. Personally, the best way I learn is by, like, the classroom environment was perfect for me. I got to watch what the teacher was doing. I could hear what the teacher was saying. I could ask questions. So that kind of team environment works really well for me. So let's just say I had a fitness goal. F45, CrossFit, personal training, all of those sorts of things with other humans would be perfect. Whereas if I would prefer, if you were a person who likes to read, then maybe you would read a whole bunch of blogs and then just go to a gym and then implement it. So everyone has different energy levels. So in terms of increasing your energy, do things that make you feel energized, or consider how you learn to be able to like know what makes you feel like yourself. Personally, I feel like myself when I'm learning, when I'm around amazing people, but it is because I'm extroverted in energy. So you will need to take a deep dive into what works for you. The last thing is to identify, in terms of psychologically, is identify your peak energy levels. Now with my journal, the goal getting journal, I intentionally chose 3 questions in the evening. And these 3 questions are based on you reviewing your life. So within the evening reflection, there's 3 questions. What excited me today? What drained me today? And what did I learn today? So over the course of 12 weeks, you can really figure out who and what is giving you more energy and why. So you may find yourself every time you get to dive into a fantasy book, you have so much more energy. So you know to increase the amount of time you dedicate to that so that you have more energy. You may decide that scrolling on Instagram just gives you no energy. So you dedicate more time to that, less time to that, so that you don't get drained as often. So it's really a life review. I think a lot of the times we go, go, go. So we don't actually review, which is why if you review it every single day over 12 weeks, you're going to figure out what's giving you energy, what's draining your energy. Now, that last question is to help you have a growth mindset, to help you increase exactly what you to increase that student mindset in general and to help you continuously learn. And we're going to be talking about that in the brain hacks of why continuous learning is just so important for your overall health. All right, so we've spoken about hormones, we've spoken about food, we've spoken about exercise, and we have spoken about the psychological benefits, the psychological things that you need to do to increase your energy overall. Next, we're going to be looking at sleep, And then we'll move on to the last thing, brain hacks. So it goes without saying that sleep is just so important in general to increase your energy. I mean, without it, we're so much more likely to get in a crash, more likely than drunk drivers, in fact. We're also more likely to eat bad foods. We're also less likely to be able to learn. We're more likely to die of a heart attack and to have cardiovascular problems. So, not sleeping is not ideal. So, the best phase for increasing your energy is your deep sleep phase, which is your restorative sleep phase. Without this, you will not wake up energized. You will feel groggy. You will feel dead to the world. Now, there's a few different things that affect your deep sleep. It's ideal to have 7 to 9 hours sleep. We have 90-minute sleep cycles, which do help us through this deep sleep phase. Our body replenishes its energy and it repairs our cells, it repairs our tissues. You need this phase to feel awake in the morning. So I think you all already knew that. And a couple of other things that it does is it increases your growth hormone. So your growth hormone is what helps build your muscle cells. If you were here earlier, your muscle cells have more mitochondria in it. Mitochondria produce ATP. ATP is the energy of the body, which goes all throughout your body and then helps you be as healthy as you can be. So if you want to increase your energy, just weights training combined with sleep and you're golden. All right. It also is the key to integrating learning. So with sleep, it builds your neuromuscular connections. Your neuromuscular connections are your motor neurons speaking to your CNS, basically, and saying, hey, do this. It also is great for spatial awareness. So any learning in terms of neuromuscular, which is why athletes prioritize their sleep. Athletes prioritize their sleep so that they can be at their top performance. So if you want to be at your top performance in your job as a mother, as a sister, as whatever you are, then prioritizing your sleep is a no-brainer. So what should your sleep look like? Ideally 7 to 9 hours. Everyone has a different homeostasis. Personally, I'm closer to 9 hours. It kind of pisses me off, but I do get 8.5 hours every night because I know how amazing sleep is for me. I wish I was one of those people, though, that only needed 7 hours. I would get so much more done. But that's the masculine energy again. So if you're kind of like me, it's like, come on, we got to prioritize sleep. So 7 to 9 hours generally is ideal, going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time, and really just feeling into your body as to what that looks like. Cortisol, and as I mentioned earlier, cortisol is inversely proportional to melatonin. Cortisol is stimulated by light. So if you can put on blue blockers of the evening or really reduce the amount of light that you're receiving of an evening, that is going to do wonders for your sleep because it's going to help you produce more melatonin. So our bodies haven't evolved as quickly as technology has. So although we have light at night, it is not natural for us to have light at night. We used to go to bed with the sun and we used to wake up with the sun. And the reason is because the sun gave us cortisol, cortisol woke us up, sundown gave us melatonin, we went to sleep. So definitely working through that light, or let's just say you're a shift worker, you can use that to your advantage. You can get one of those light clocks that slowly wake you up, and then you can slowly darken things, before the sun's actually gone down, so that you can be getting regular sleep if you're in shift work as well. Great. So that's all for sleep. We've spoken about sleep. We've spoken about exercise. We've spoken about hormones. We've spoken about foods. We've spoken about psychology. Now we're on to the last thing, brain hacks. So these are a few fun brain hacks that you can do to increase your energy. So the first up is any learning. So most types of learning do decrease our risk of Alzheimer's and increase our energy overall because it stimulates our brain and makes our brain think in different ways. So a really big one is language and musical instruments. So these two things definitely do challenge our brains. They make us tap into our creativity and different sides of ourselves that increase neuroplasticity. Now, neuroplasticity is the process in which we build new neural connections. So our brain, you've probably seen it before, is just like, it's like a spider web of all these different neural connections. So you can rebuild new ones, believe it or not. But it does start to decline at 25. So unless you are learning a new language, you're learning a new, you're doing puzzles, maybe it's crosswords, your neuroplasticity will start to decline. So I definitely recommend for those of you over 25 that you are doing that. Another fun thing that you can do to challenge your brain, to increase your energy and just to get you on focus for the day, is brushing your teeth with the opposite hand. So that's just like a little fun fact, because it's like one of the first things you do in the day. Depends on if you brush your teeth before coffee or after coffee. Everyone's different. But if you do it with the opposite hand, it really does challenge your brain and gets your neurons firing for the day. Another thing is taking a cold shower. Now, taking a cold shower does energize us. So it's a really weird hack and it's really strange. So there are quite a few studies out there on cold showers, and it's meant to boost or improve your metabolism. And studies prove that it does actually have an impact on obesity, and that it reduces obesity. And you only need to have a cold shower 2 to 3 times a week to receive these benefits. But the reason we say like it may improve metabolism rather than saying it does improve metabolism is because scientists can't figure out why. There is no clear reason why, but it has been proven in studies. Another thing is that it can even out hormone levels within the gastrointestinal system, which helps us balance our hormones, which we spoke about earlier. It also increases circulation. So, as I mentioned earlier, around exercise being really good for us. When we do exercise, we have more oxygen throughout the body. The more oxygen throughout the body, the more energy that we have. When we're moving as well, it moves our circulation around. So if we've got that and combined with a cold shower, we've just got all the oxygen going around our body and we're having a good time. So those are two tips combined would be amazing to help you boost your energy in the morning. The last thing about cold showers is that it's like a gentle electroshock. So it sends us electrical impulses. It sends our brain electrical impulses that stimulate us and help us increase our energy. So although not all of you want to exercise and eat super healthy, even though those are the things that are really going to help us with our energy, those 2 things will really help out. But there have been a lot of quick wins that I've shared throughout this live that are going to help you increase your energy. And that's it. We've been live for a while now. It's been fabulous to have you here. If you have any final questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to love you and leave you. It's been a good time, and I shall see you in my next live.